I'd like to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and 84% of everybody who watches these videos is not subscribed. So if you do enjoy today's video or any of the ones you might have seen here in the past, please consider subscribing, and thank you so much for watching. So before Strive came out, I thought that game was going to be it for me. Like, I was going to drop everything else and play that game 24/7. And I completely overhyped it in my head. Like, I thought this game was going to be everything that I wanted and more. It was going to meet my expectations and exceed them. And in some aspects it did, right? The netcode was great, but overall, I'd built this product up so much in my head to the point where when it came out, there's no chance that it would have ever met those expectations. And that's what taught me a very big lesson about future releases, is that you can't really judge something fully until you have it in your hand, and you can't build up those expectations regarding anything, right? Not just video games, not just fighting games, but you can't build up those expectations and be upset when they're not met. When you're reaching so far for something that rationally thinking later on could never have been met. I remember a big misconception I had was like when people would be critical of the game, right? Maybe they're watching trailers, they're watching the backyard interview things, or they played the beta and they're talking about it. Maybe not so favorably. I vividly remember like being either angry or like just ignoring those opinions altogether, right? So I just taken all the positive stuff. This game's gonna be great, this and that, and I wouldn't really look at the criticisms of it that were sort of like warning you, this is the product that you're buying and this is the product that you're going to be playing. And of course, some of those critiques were not valid, right? But you have to have the knowledge and you have to have the ability as a consumer, right? This is not just games again, right? As a consumer, you have to have that ability to see things rationally even when you are blinded by something new and shiny. And I was unable to do that. I think the mentality around new releases on social media and whatever it may be, maybe in your social circles too, sort of perpetuates that notion of like overhyping things and getting so excited and setting your expectations so high. And then when it comes out and it's not exactly what you thought it was, you immediately take to Twitter, take to social media again and start denouncing the game. And you're like, this is not what we wanted. This, and that. And sort of like the thing that I see a lot is people complaining about things that were in the developer backyards or like were told to them previously by the developer in those interviews, but just got overlooked. Like I did it too. I'm guilty of it too, which I think it's okay to make that mistake once, right? But if you don't go back and look at it again, like this seems to be a trend in the fighting game community, at least that I've learned about recently, is that when a new release comes out, people do the same cycle, get hype, play the game, don't like the game, wait for the next release. So for example, if Melty Blood comes out and people are like, this is going to save the FGC, and then a month later, they're going to say, when's KOF 15? This game sucks. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. And then after that cycle goes on, there's like the residual people who actually did like the game and they stick around, and there's like a percentage of them who still play the game that came out and they like it. So when the next iteration comes out, and everybody does this cycle again, but for their title, I think that's where like the gatekeeping mentality starts. And like you see like that anger, you know, people who have been playing these games for years and then they get shit talked and then their game gets shit talked. And then everybody wants to come back a few years later. I see where it comes from now. I see why people get upset like that. Do I think it's justified personally? No. I think I'd be happy for my game to get any attention if I played like a smaller game or a game where only a percentage of the people stuck around. But I can't speak on that, right? Because I've never been like that. I've never stuck with a series because I haven't been around long enough. I'd like to hear that from you guys in the comments below, how you feel about gatekeeping and if it's justified or whatever. You know, usually it's like a negative term, but let's talk in terms of fighting games. I think the only thing that would really fix that is maybe like what CSGO did, where if you play for 5 or 10 years, you get like a little badge. If you guys have seen that, if you played CSGO, you get like a little 5-year, 10-year coin. Like if somebody's not good enough in that game to be better than a person who just started, but they want to feel like they're better because they've been playing longer, they give them that little badge. That's sort of like what it feels like sometimes. But that's enough about that. Let's talk a little bit about the second mistake that I made when Strive came out that I've learned for this release, right, for the Melty Blood release, which was using Strive as a tool for a means to an end. And what I mean by that is the game was not for me to have fun. The game was for me to win something, to beat somebody, to win a tournament, to go places, to get recognized, and to ultimately blow up this YouTube channel. That's what I wanted to do with that game. And that was not explicitly clear to me until I like was not having a good time. And I really reflected on why am I not having fun in this game? And it ultimately came down to because I'm not winning. And that is terrible. That's a terrible way to think about it and a terrible way to go about learning something. And I stopped improving, right? I wasn't getting any better. I was losing to people that were worse than me, better than me. It didn't matter. It felt random at some points because I just felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. And none of the characters, I really didn't enjoy any of the characters enough to sit down and learn everything about them. You know, I played Giovanna. That was my first character. I was very excited. She came out. She has like 3 special moves, like 3 or 4 special moves. She's got some cool mix-ups. I learned those. And that was it. Like, it was off to the races, and it just wasn't fun for me. I started playing Ramlethal. My corner pressure was really weak, and I didn't have the motivation to even learn it. I was like, this is... that's around when I started posting YouTube videos about Strive, and they weren't doing well either. So that was like double demotivation because I wasn't having fun on the game. You guys weren't having fun watching me play this game. And it was just like a recipe for disaster. But I still felt pressured to play it, you know? I had built it up so much in my head. I built it up so much on the channel and on social media. And I was like, I have to play this game. Everybody's playing it. Everyone loves it. And like, why am I the only one who doesn't like this game? Like, what's going on? Why can't I figure it out? And I was very stressed about it, which sounds so dumb. But when you look forward to something for so long and it comes out, and you just can't figure out why you don't like it as much as you thought you would, start looking for answers. And for me, I turned intrinsically, right? I looked to myself for answers rather than the game. And I really tried to convince myself to play it and convince myself to like it and that I would start to like it if I just played more. But it just wasn't the case. And it all came to a head whenever I got a YouTube comment where somebody said, I can't tell if you like this game or not anymore. And I really sat down and I said, I can't either. Like, I can't tell either. If I'm that conflicted to where it's, you know, showing in the content, then what's the point? You know, if I'm not even good at the game, I don't like the game. You guys can tell that I don't like the game and the content suffering. What's the point? And that's when I went searching for answers outside of myself, externally. And I said, what game do I want to play? Ask yourself, what game do you want to play? Doesn't matter what YouTube views look like, what everybody else is playing, what everybody else thinks about it. What game do you want to play? Then I remembered another YouTube post that I made like a long time ago on the little community tab. It was a poll and it said, what games do you guys want to see on this channel? There was an option at the bottom and that option said other. And I said, specify down in the comments below if you have another idea that's not listed here. And at the time, I was only making Street Fighter videos. I got like 100 to 200 views a video, but I was having the fucking time of my life. And somebody commented, I'd love to see a Street Fighter player try Melty Blood. Play something that's not as based on the ground, but emphasizes air movement a lot more. And I thought that sounded like a great idea, and it would be really fun to check out. I've sat on that idea for months. You could probably go back and find the post, but it was months ago. But I got in my head again. And I said, this game's like 20 years old. Nobody's really watching it. What's the audience? What's the point? On one of those days when I was done with Strive, I was done with Street Fighter 5, and I was sitting here asking myself, what do I want to play? I booted up that game, and I'm so glad that I did. I don't know where this game's going to take me. I don't know if it's going to be the main thing that I post on my YouTube for the foreseeable future, or if I'll ever win anything. But frankly, I just don't care anymore. I just want to have a good time and play a game that I can sit down for hours on. If you take anything away from this video, stop overhyping the release of things. Not to the community, but to yourself. You're the only one who really stands anything to lose when you do that. And 2, these games aren't a means to an end. It's a game. Have fun, grind it out, and it might take you somewhere. But if you don't feel bad about it. And don't be pressured to convince yourself that you need to like something just because everybody else does, or you need to like something because it's popular. At the end of the day, a new game is going to come out in whatever series you're playing, and this cycle is going to continue, but recognize that it's a cycle and don't get caught up in it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider subscribing.